What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and a stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's literally like one of the only free things left here in the country. And this way you won't miss out on new videos. I will keep you up to date here with everything, and also thanks for hitting the like button for us down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. Overwhelming majority backs raising the age limit to 21 years of age to buy AR-15 style rifles, according to polls. Here's the details. 3/4 of adults, 75% of Americans, support the idea that the minimum age for an individual to purchase an AR-15 style rifle should be 21 years of age, according to a new SurveyMonkey poll published here this week. Found 75% of adult respondents agree that the minimum age to buy an AR-15 style rifle should be 21, while 65% of teenage respondents agree with the same sentiment. This is their own people, their own teenagers saying, we agree that we shouldn't be able to buy an AR-15 style rifle. These are teenagers saying this, that we agree we're too young to be able to buy this, 65%. And remember that 2/3 is considered a super majority in Congress. This is what it takes to override a presidential veto. Yeah. And a 2/3 vote is required in the Senate to impeach a president. So those are very, very high standards, 2/3. And remember, it's very hard to actually impeach a president in the Senate to get that. So even when teenagers are saying, hey, we agree with this, that we don't think that we're old enough to have an AR-15 style rifle, then we should have to wait until age 21. That speaks for itself. And you let me know your thoughts. 75% of adults agree with this. Getting 75% of adults to agree on anything, quite the. It's actually quite difficult if you kind of look at the history of polling or voting. When you look at voting, it comes on to presidential elections. They're almost always like 51%, 49%. You look at our last several elections, razor thin close here, trying to get anybody to agree. It's 75% of anything. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. And remember, we're not saying that we're not banning these. We're literally just tweaking the age limit. Yeah. And then they're also talking about potential other things. Well, they're not even really talking about this, but let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think there should be a waiting period? So that people this is personally what I think, that like if a lot of these things happen with impulse, people are they have rage, they're upset about something, and they want to go purchase a gun, and then boom, a mass shooting occurs. Imagine if there was just a waiting period, 7-day waiting period. Do people need to be in that much of a hurry to be able to purchase an assault rifle? You let me know your thoughts here, especially if you're a gun advocate. Are you that? Are you against a waiting period? We think about also things like licenses, driver's license. You have to go and get training. You have to pass tests, written tests, all these things to drive a car. But when it comes to being able to just walk into Gander Mountain and purchase a gun, very, very different. Very, very different. So let me know your thoughts here in the comment. This is a major, major issue here for our country. Right now, it's a lot easier to buy a gun than to get a driver's license. Yeah. And the question is anything going to change, or are we going to continue to see more mass shootings in our country than there are days of the year? Right now, we have over 10 mass shootings per week in our country. Is anything going to change, or is that just going to continue to happen day after day after day? Or is anything going to change at all? Can they even tweak the laws at all? Or will we be the only country in the world where this happens every single day? Let me know your thoughts. Do you think anything should be tweaked at all? We're not talking about taking away guns. We're talking about literally just trying to cut down the problem a little bit, a little bit. Let me know your thoughts. Also, I got an even crazier story here at the end of this video. I'll share with you in today's episode of You Can't Make This Stuff Up. We haven't had one of those in a while, but this was a good one. I came across. I'm like, yeah, we got to show that one. I'll show you that here in a few minutes. And with this new inflation report that came out at 8.6%, we're seeing all sorts of holes in the economy. And you can see here the people being affected the most. Credit card balances spike to $841 billion after stimulus checks helped reduce the debt. Now debt is spiking back up. Yeah, consumers pulled off a staggering feat during the pandemic, which was amazing because, we were in a pandemic, people were getting laid off left and right, paying down credit card debt and boosting savings. Now, credit card debt is back to record levels amid the highest inflation in 40 years. The Federal Reserve's monthly credit report found that revolving credit, which mostly includes credit card balances, jumped nearly, wait for it, 20% in April. 20% since April. And this is the problem here is we're seeing so many groups of people, low income, fixed income, people with children. The child tax credits have basically stopped this entire year. That brought millions of children out of poverty. Everybody on Social Security got a 5.9% raise this year. But guess what? Inflation's at 8+%. 8.6% for last month. So guess what? Social Security got a 5.9% raise, and inflation is like 50% more than that. 50% of 5.9% would be 3% more than that. 3% on top of 5.9 would be 8.9. Last month was 8.6. Yeah, it's just right now. I mean, we thought the pandemic was bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. The pandemic's still going on. We're at 120,000 cases per day. What was that? 179,000 cases per day a couple days ago. And these are people that don't even go to testing facilities. Who goes to a testing facility now? Everybody uses their at-home test. So think about how many people actually have the virus now. And think about all these people can't go to work because they actually have the virus. And all this is adding to the pandemic, right? Nobody even wants to talk about the pandemic anymore. Everybody's just sick and tired of it, right? But yeah, this is going back up here, guys. We're over 100,000 new cases per day, and everybody's sick and tired of it. But really, right now, everybody's more sick and tired of inflation. And honestly, inflation might be here for quite a while. Probably at least the rest of the year at this point. I mean, we're here in June. Realistically, it's probably going to be here for the rest of the year at best.
Thank you for having me on.
We've spent the last week or so talking about retail inventories getting a bit more bloated, obviously the wallet shift to services. You think that is good news in that it might provide the Fed an opportunity to either slow down the rate of increases or pause later in the year, right?
I do. I think that when we look at what's been the biggest driver of inflation over the last year to year and a half, it's been a shortage of goods. And we've seen that in auto prices and goods prices more generally. Now, what we're seeing is as consumers shift into services, retail inventories of goods are finally growing. And that's going to be putting some downward pressure on goods prices going forward. And that's exactly what the Fed needs to see.
Bostic on the Fed did some cleanup and said in the last 24 hours that his view of a potential pause in September should not be taken as a Fed put. Do you think markets are taking this narrative, this idea, and running with it too much?
Well, I don't think the Fed's likely to pause in September. I think the most we can expect is that if we do see a deceleration in inflation by then, which I actually do think we're going to see, then the Fed may shift down to a 25 basis point per meeting hiking pace. I don't think the Fed's in a position now where they want to stop altogether. And for their part, markets are pricing in a hike in September, so they haven't fully bought into the idea of a Fed pause.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm curious what you think comes first, that kind of slowdown in inflation or a slowdown in consumer spending. In a more dramatic way, I ask because as you see inventories needing to be discounted because there's too much of a glut, those corporations, of course, will need to essentially right-size their expenses, potentially having more layoffs that we haven't really seen as the employment markets and especially the number of openings sit at near highs. So I'm just curious kind of where you see that playing out.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing overall consumer spending really slowing dramatically right now. I think one key number to keep in mind, consumer labor income is growing 11.5% year on year. And that's a staggering number. And that means consumers do have a lot of spending power. What's happening now is they are shifting into services. So you're seeing things like travel, restaurants, hotels, all of those sorts of things are doing quite well. But the things they bought most of during the pandemic are doing less well. And I think that's what you're seeing is the reports are from firms that are seeing less of that pandemic-related goods spending happening.
Yeah, and this is where stimulus checks from the government, child tax credits from the government, Social Security raises from the government, all of which have been considered or are being considered, could really help massive groups of people here. We have Senator Bernie Sanders, who is leading the charge, along with a lot of other senators here, on a $2,400 raise for Social Security, as well as boosting Social Security to 125% of the federal poverty level. I'll link you to that video here and a really big video I just did here on stimulus checks here at the end of this video. Two really big videos I just did here. But we got to really think here that now that unemployment is low, President Biden says that they're going to be able to pay down the national deficit by 1.5 to 1.7 trillion dollars. The federal government has money, states have money. They have to employ this money, use this money. So if they don't use the money, they don't use it for people. What are they going to use the money for, right? I mean, if you just pay down the national deficit and don't do anything, I mean, the people here are the people who are the lifeblood of the country, right? The people who live, die, breathe are the soul of the country, right? I mean, it's like a corporation without people, right? It's there's nothing else to it, right? It's like a country without people, right? Let me know your thoughts here. I mean, and there's all these different programs here that are just kind of waiting right now, just kind of waiting for the government, for the Democrats, for the Republicans, for Congress, and for states to kind of step up and say, we got to do it. Now's the time. Especially we got a big election coming up, so now it's kind of like their opportunity to say, okay, well, let's get it done. Let's get it done. Whatever their excuse is, let's get it done. Who cares what the excuse is, right? Who cares? Let's get it done. Thankfully, we have all these states getting stimulus checks, tax rebate checks, property tax, pausing their gas taxes. Again, who cares what the excuse is? Realistically, all these states are flush with cash with billions of dollars. So thankfully, they're giving the money back, part of the money back. Of course, they got to keep reserves. They can't give all the money back and then be bankrupt, right? It's not a good fiscal policy, right? But a lot of states are giving money back. In fact, some states are giving multiple checks back. In fact, Indiana's one of the states here to now do 2 rounds of checks here back. Yeah, so I covered that here in a recent video. They had a $125 check, and then now they're considering another check here. So yeah, I think that we're going to see a lot of states say, all right, we did one check or we're considering one check, and then now we have so much money coming in, we could do it again. We could do another check here. So yeah, and I think a lot of states that were a little bit hesitant at first are now seeing all this money coming in month by month with sales tax and tax revenues on the state level are going to be like, look at all this money coming in. Let's give money back. And now's the perfect time because there's an election coming up. Our governor's up for election, our state legislature's up for reelection or whatever. So whatever their excuse is, let's do it. Yeah, so check out this interesting story here that I came across in today's episode of "You Can't Make This Stuff Up." And you can't. It's reminded me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in real life. Yeah, check this out. Yeah, you can see here 2 rescued from a chocolate tank at the Mars factory in Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's right. Check out this kind of video here. I'll play it as we see it here. Yeah, you can see here 2 people became trapped in a chocolate tank at a M&M Mars factory in central Pennsylvania. That had happened on June 9th, and crews worked to rescue them. That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's why I said you can't make this stuff up. This actually happened here in Lancaster County. 2 people fell into the tank in chocolate. They were not injured, according to local media. Yeah, I wonder if they found a golden ticket. Yeah, I know this actually happened. The tank had some chocolate in it at the time of the incident. The chocolate was believed to be about waist high. Yeah, guys, so this actually happened at the chocolate factory in Mars, the Mars factory in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so I showed you the video here. The video didn't have any like talking, it was just background music, so that's why I kind of showed it to you there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I thought that was very, very interesting. Yeah. I know you can't make this stuff up. So I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. Uh, One of the only things left here in the country that's free. So new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when you subscribe, click the bell icon that appears next to the subscribe button so you get notifications when we go live, so you don't miss out on new videos. You can click here to see my new video on Social Security raises, $2,400 Bernie Sanders wants for Social Security recipients. And here's my new video on stimulus checks that just came out here. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.